For this directed exercise, we are going to be working on creating a single table business view. We will be covering the directed exercise number 4, which is page 75 on the ERW Advanced exercise sheet. And then we're going to be doing a little extra ad hoc stuff. So just be prepared for that. The main directed exercise is very simple. And then we're going to be doing some going beyond that to see how it works. So the first thing we're doing is our business purpose, as read out, is the accounts receivable department needs to create several reports, each of which requires the following fields: address number, amount open, amount discount available. And a business view containing only these 3 fields is needed. All of these fields can be found in the FO3B11 table. So we're going to add a project specifically for this, and it's going to be TRN0003. We're going to be naming it Customer Ledger, and the type is going to be, I'm going to look up something. It's going to be an enhancement, and severity is that it's an enhancement. 11. Product system code is going to be 55, and release. Say okay, create the project. There we go, Customer Ledger project, and I've got nothing underneath it. And so what we're going to do is create a business view. So let's go ahead, and for that project with it highlighted, we're going to add a business view, and it's going to be called V5503B11A. And we are going to name it V5503B11A. It says truncating object name to 8 characters. Now, it didn't used to always do that. And because I always like an A there to give me options, I'm going to take the 0 out of the 03A, so it's not going to truncate it. And you probably can't see it until the red went away. So there you go, product code 55. Product system code is, we're going to do 03B. Don't need text search or auto suggest, so we're good with that. We're going to say okay. And so we're going to go into design tools. And if you've got your screen, your windows set up remotely like what I have, okay, there's my project over here, then we're going to pull up the table F03B11, find it, and either double click, no, or drag into the table joins. Now, since it's going to be the only table, anytime a table is added, the key fields are required to be in the business view. So we have those. And since we need the address number, we're going to add the address number. We're going to try and find amount open. There it looks like amount open. And I look at the alias, it's AP, so that's good. And then amount discount available, looks like that one, ADSC. So I'm going to double click on that. So I'm going to save this, and I want to talk about this. So we have the business view. The business view is pretty much done now. And so how do we know it's working? Well, the best way to know is we'll typically put it in a report. So I've saved it. I'm going to exit. And there's my business view. So let me talk about a couple of things for business views real quick that can be important. As I've told you time and time again, that the business view is basically the window to the database for either the report or the form, the application form that you're building. And because we are required to add the key fields, and we have been frugal and have only added 3 fields, this is going to be a fairly high performance business view. Now, I'm going to save this real quick. I could have, with this highlighted, selected all the fields, and it's processing. And if I used it with all the fields, then every time a UBE or a form retrieved a record, it would have to bring all these pages and pages of data down with it. So the performance would start to lack, especially if I didn't need all that information. Okay. Now, I don't know if this limitation is still in effect, but it used to be that you could only select a total of a maximum number of 256 fields to be included in a business view. And I would say if you go over 256 fields, you're probably wasting a lot of pipeline trying to bring down information that you really don't need. So there is the limitation of 256 data items for a business view. Now, if we were also to join tables, there is a limit to that, where if we were to do a simple join, and we'll do that in the next directed exercise, you could do a maximum of linking 5 tables together if it was using a simple join. If it's using outer joins, like left or right outer joins, then you can only join 3 tables, because otherwise the logic that's uh, in the framework would, it's not there, but it would be require so much more code to be able to handle more, and the runtime would just become overwhelming. So as of right now, this is taking a long time to get back to me, and we probably won't wait for it right now, but this business view is ready to be used in an interactive or batch process. So we're going to move forward and see about doing that. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is, how do we know what fields to grab? Now, you've seen a couple of times the address number, so you're pretty secure with that. And we've also talked about amount open and discount available. But quite often, we do not have the luxury of having worked in a subsystem that is familiar to us in order to get the report they want. And so what I have done here is I have gone in, and I am totally foreign to this. Here's a situation where there's something about manual billing, and to get there, I went to Enterprise One menus. I think I did project management. Or no, I'm sorry, I went to real estate management, daily processing, real manual billing, and then under that I went manual billing entry. And I can see that this is application 1P1511. Okay. And so I started it, and I let this come up. I did a find, and it found me some data. And so this is what the user will say, I want a report that will display the following information. And so I have notated gen type, batch number, invoice number, document company, lease number, tenant, and invoice date. And I have no idea what those fields are, but I'm going to show you how we can find it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if we go in here, just a second, I want to do a quick print screen. It's not going to do a print screen for me. Okay, I did it on the other computer. So the first thing I would try is, I would say, okay, what form is this? So I'm going to go to help here, the question mark, and do an about. And it's going to tell me that it is P1511. And in fact, it's specifically form W1511B. And so I am writing that down manually, W1511B, because that tells me the exact form. So I can close that and I can click out of here, it disappears. And you know what, for one of these, I'm going to highlight these and I'm going to hit the F1 key because that might help me a little bit. And it doesn't look like it's going to help me. Oh, it does. So here's an alias, GENT. That's the alias. I'm going to click in batch number and hit F2. Did I hit F2 or F1? Oh, F1. This is batch number is ICU. Invoice number, F1 is DOC, DOC. Doc company is probably DCT, KCO. I'm sorry, DCT is doc type. Lease number is going to be DOCO. So we have a doc and a DOCO. Have to remember to keep those straight. The tenant, that might be an AN8 or some variant of that. Whoops, I want to hit F1. And that's AN8. And then the invoice date is usually DICJ. DI. In this case, it's DI. And that's questionable. I don't know if that's gonna be not helpful. So the next thing I'm gonna do is try and find this data in Universal Table Browser. So I'm gonna go back to Solution Explorer and type in UTB. And since the form's name was P1511, I can guess that the table might be F1511 or some variation of it. So I'm going to add an asterisk. Well, I'm just going to tab out, and it looks like that's a valid field. But it doesn't look like I'm getting any data that matches this data in here. So it may not be the 1511. So I'm going to go to open up another table and go to the Visual Assist and see what F15 asterisk gives me. And so there's tenant lease billings detail, and then there's the tenant lease master. I wonder what the tenant lease master. So anytime we see 11, there's usually a form that's called a 10 So we may be looking at property management constants. So I'm going to open up 1510 to see if that gives me, and I'm not seeing any data in there either. So I'm going to try again with 1501 and see if I get anything there. I'm not getting anything on any of this, so I am stuck. Okay, here's another method to look at. I can go into tools, and there is something called data browser. And what's really nice here is this will tell me with that form highlighted, it will kind of load up the business view that's attached to that form. Now, whether Demo Junior is going to give it to me or not is another question. So I waited quite a few minutes. It never came back to me. So there is data. So don't do data browser, or at least the window was here and it just kept circling. So I finally closed it to get back. So we're going to try another method. The other method is I did notate that it was F1 or W1511B is the form. So we're going to go back to Object Management Workbench, go back to our default project, and I'm going to go in and search for P1511. I will go into design mode, open up and look for form W1511B, and then I will see the design version layout of this form right here. And then I can look at each one of these fields individually to see what the fields are in properties. So P1511, tab out, it's there, that's the application. I'm going to move it into my default project. And I open it up, there's the application. I'm going to go into design on it. And no, I don't care. I'm not going to change it, so I don't care that it's not checked out currently. We're going to let it load. It might take some time. And after a lot of jitties, it has finally loaded up. Now I have two forms here, and I'm guessing it could be A and B. And I'll just go into properties here. And indeed, this is form W1511B. And I can even see what the business view is for this, which is V1511BA. So that gives me some information. And then, so I look at this, and if you notice, the gen type, I can't see that color too well, but if it's blue, that means it's a business view field. And if it's yellow, let me see if I can find a yellow one. It means it's a data dictionary. No, they're all blue. Looks like all blue. So, but that's good. I can go in and double click on it to get properties and see, oh, see, here's why. It's the table is F1511B, but indeed the alias is GENT like we thought. And I'm going to confirm the other ones. The business batch number was ICU. Yes. The invoice number was DOC. The document company was KCO. KCO. The lease number was DOCO. DOCO. And the tenant was AN8. AN8. And then the invoice date was DI, date invoice. So now that I know it's a different table, I can go back to here, and I'm going to close all these so they're not taking too much of my resources. And I'm going to grab F1511B and lease billings master. And look, there's my data that I was expecting. There's Gent, ICU, DOC, DOCO, and then the invoice date, which is a DI. There's DG. There's DI right there. So it's going to be that. Okay. So we have now confirmed all of the down to the alias and what table it is. So if we needed to create a report for this, then we could just let's do that. We're going to create a business view for that report. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go close out of this, but you saw how this was helpful. We're not going to save. We're just going to do a file exit. And if it asks us to save, we're going to say no. And okay, and exit. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Universal Table Browser. And let's go back to the project we were in, highlight that, TRN3, and we're going to add another business view now. And this one is going to be V58 1511A. And I've chosen 58 because it's a custom subsystem, and the product system code is 15, real estate management. And the description is the manual billings report. So we're going to call it manual billings report. So I'm going to go back here, business. So manual billings view, actually. And I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to go into design, start the business view designing. And for the table, it's going to be F1511B. Drag it in here. And let's see. So GENT is already included because it's a key field. So is batch number and document. And oh, we got suffix. Well, they didn't ask for suffix, but they did want doc type or company. So let's see where, I know that's KCO company, that's CO. Let's see if we can find document company. So there's DACO, and we're going to add that in a second, but we first wanted document type. Or company, excuse me. Document company. There's company, but we want KCO, not CO. And so sometimes they won't realize they needed it and decided to add it during enhancement, so they'll might put it way at the bottom. Oh, and here it is, KCO, and since it's part of the keys, I guess I should have seen that that was one of the selected columns there, so it's already selected. So now I'm going to go back to DACO, which that's DACO. I'm going to double click, and then AN8, which will show up as address number, and then DI invoice date. Invoice date. There's DI. Good. So I'm going to add that and save. And I'm going to exit and say okay. And let's do a new, reopen this project. And so now we have that business view created, single business view. Okay. So we're going to do two more types of, well, one more business view with a single table. So I am going to highlight the project and add another business view. And this business view is going to be V 580101A. Hopefully it doesn't truncate it, no. And this is going to be search types from address book. Product code is going to be 58, and the product system code is going to be a 1 for address book. I'm going to say okay, because we're going to do something special with this one. Start the business view designing. Now this is going to be from the address book, so F0101. Going to drag that in here. And I am going to add search type, but I want to get rid of address number. So let me think about how I want to do that. So I know I do want to go to distinct mode because I want to teach you what distinct mode is. So I've selected it. Notice it's got a shaded box around distinct now. But I also want to, cannot deselect this column because it's a primary part of the primary key. I'm trying to think. There was a way you used to be able to do this. You know, I may not be able to do that right now. So I may be stuck. What I wanted to do was give you an idea of what distinct METS does, because what it will give you is all the unique combinations of the fields, and if the key's included, then the distinct doesn't work. So I'll have to think about how to do that, but distinct is a way of looking at, is one way of looking at all the unique fields. And if the key is forced to be part of it, then every record would be considered distinct, because you can't have non-distinct records. I'm going to have to research how to do that. Sorry, this was a crash course. It's not going to work out. So disregard this second portion of it. You could still build the business view and say save. And if we find a way to get farther, then we'll just add on to this. Thank you.